remember the sound of the ocean before I remember her voice. It was always there, breathing behind the walls of the house like a living thing that never slept. The house stood with its face toward the water, old wood, warm light, slow mornings, and a history that lived in every corner. My mother moved through that space like she belonged to it, like it had grown around her bones and learned her shape. She woke before sunrise and sat near the window, holding her tea with both hands, watching the horizon change color. She believed the sea listened to her. She believed the house protected her. She believed time would stay gentle if she treated it kindly. I used to think those beliefs were harmless. I used to think letting her believe was a form of love. But love changes when fear grows roots, and fear had been growing in me quietly for years. The doctors spoke in soft voices and long pauses. They avoided words like ending and never. They spoke about safety and care and tomorrow. They did not speak about what happens when memory begins to loosen its grip. They did not speak about nights when she might forget where she was. They did not speak about stairs and storms and isolation. I spoke with them alone. I nodded. I thanked them. I carried those words back to the beach house like a weight I could not put down. My mother still laughed easily. She still told stories about my childhood as if they lived right behind her eyes. But sometimes she would ask me the same question twice. Sometimes she would stand in the hallway and look around like a guest who arrived early. Sometimes she would call my name when I was standing right in front of her. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself the sea air made her tired. I told myself tomorrow would be clearer. Tomorrow became a word that scared me. The house needed repairs. The roof groaned in heavy wind. The steps down to the sand were uneven. The nearest hospital was far. The nearest neighbor was even farther. And every night when I drove back to the city, I imagined her alone, listening to the waves and trying to remember why the dark felt so heavy. I started making calls. I started asking questions I never wanted to ask. I visited places with clean halls and kind faces, places with gardens and soft chairs and people trained to help, places where someone would always hear her if she called out. Every visit ended the same way. I would sit in my car and cry until my chest hurt, because every answer felt like betrayal. Selling the house was never supposed to happen. It was not part of the plan I had in my heart. That house was more than walls. It was where my father taught me to swim. It was where my mother danced barefoot in the kitchen. It was where she said she wanted to stay forever. But forever does not ask permission before it changes shape. The offer came fast, a family from far away. They loved the light and the view and the quiet. They saw dreams where I saw risk. They saw beginnings where I saw endings. I told myself I was doing the right thing. I told myself this was protection, not abandonment. I told myself she would understand. The night before I told her, I barely slept. The ocean was loud that night, like it knew something was coming. I sat at the kitchen table, watching shadows move across the walls. I remembered her hands guiding mine as I learned to write. I remembered her voice telling me I was safe no matter what. I wondered when the roles had reversed. I wondered when safety became my responsibility. Morning came slowly. She made breakfast like always. She hummed a tune I did not recognize. Sunlight filled the room, and for a moment, everything felt normal. For a moment, I almost decided not to say anything, but the words were already inside me, pressing against my chest. I told her we were going tomorrow, Mom. I told her I had sold the beach house. She froze. The spatula stopped moving. Her eyes searched my face like she was trying to read something written too small. She laughed softly at first. She said I was joking. She said I always had strange humor. When I did not laugh back, the room changed. The air felt thinner. The sea outside sounded farther away. She asked me why. She asked me how. She asked me when. I tried to explain. I talked about safety and care and being closer to doctors. I talked about a new place with a garden and friendly people. I talked and talked until my voice felt empty. She did not interrupt. She did not shout. She just listened with a stillness that scared me. Then she said something I was not ready for. She said, "This house remembers me." She said, "The walls know my name." She said, "If you take me from here, I will disappear." I told her that would never happen. I told her she would always be herself. I told her I would be with her. She nodded. She smiled in a way that did not reach her eyes. She said she trusted me. That trust felt heavier than anger. The rest of the day passed like a dream. She walked through each room, touching things gently, the bookshelf, the window frames, the old chair near the door. It felt like she was saying goodbye to something she believed was alive. That evening, she asked me about my father. She asked where he was. I reminded her he had passed years ago. She looked confused. Then she looked heartbroken all over again. I held her while she cried. I promised her tomorrow would be okay. I promised her she would not be alone. But inside me, something was breaking, because there was something I hadn't told her, something I could not yet say out loud. I had not just sold the house. I had signed papers that would take her farther than she imagined, to a place where visits had rules, to a place where leaving was not simple. I believed it was necessary. I believed it was love. But as night fell and she fell asleep to the sound of the ocean for what I knew might be the last time, I sat beside her and wondered, what if I was wrong? What if in trying to save her, I was erasing her? What if tomorrow changed everything in ways I could never undo? The sea kept breathing outside, unaware of contracts and decisions, unaware of the truth she did not know yet. And I stayed awake listening, holding the weight of what was coming, knowing that tomorrow would begin a story neither of us was ready to face. The next morning arrived without asking permission. The sky was pale and quiet, like it did not want to interrupt what was happening inside the house. My mother woke early again. She dressed carefully, choosing her favorite sweater, even though it was warm. She said it felt right. I did not argue. We packed slowly. Every object felt heavier than it should. She asked me if we were going on vacation. I said yes. She smiled and said she liked vacations. Then she asked again 10 minutes later. The car ride was long. She watched the road like it was a story unfolding for the first time. Sometimes she hummed. Sometimes she was silent. When the ocean disappeared from view, she turned to me and asked why the water had gone. I told her it was just behind the hills. I lied gently, the kind of lie that sounds like love but tastes like guilt. When we arrived, she looked around with polite curiosity. The building was clean. The garden was bright. People smiled the way people do when they are trained to be kind. She held my hand tighter than she had in years. Inside her room, she sat on the bed and looked at the window. She asked if the sea was close. I told her there was a fountain. She nodded like that answer fit somewhere inside her. A woman with a soft voice spoke to her, asked her name, asked her favorite color, asked her if she knew where she was. My mother answered some questions easily. Others she answered with a laugh that covered confusion. Then they asked me to step outside. In the hallway, I felt my chest tighten. The walls were quiet in a way the beach house never was. No waves, no wind, just time waiting. They told me she would need time. They told me it was normal. They told me she might be angry later. They told me I was doing the right thing. I wanted to believe them. I needed to believe them. When I returned to her room, she was standing near the door. She asked me when we were going home. I told her soon. She said good. She said she did not like hotels. It was time to leave. I did not know how to explain that leaving was not temporary. I kissed her forehead. I told her I would visit tomorrow. I told her I loved her. She smiled. She said, "Drive safe." Then she added something that shattered me. She said, "Tell my son I miss him." I stood there, unable to breathe. She was looking at me, but she was not seeing me. I walked away before she could see my face break. I did not look back because I knew if I did, I would not be able to leave. That night, I went to the beach house. The keys no longer belonged to me, but the door was still unlocked. The rooms were empty, the echoes were loud. I sat on the floor where she used to sit every morning. The sea was there, endless, unchanged. It did not know she was gone. I realized then what she had not known, what she could never have understood. I had sold her house to save her body, but I had left her memories behind. The house remembered her, the walls knew her name, and in trying to protect her from danger, I had taken her from the one place that knew how to hold who she was. Weeks passed. Sometimes she remembered me, sometimes she did not. But every time I visited, she asked about the ocean. Every time. I brought her shells. I brought her sand in a jar. I played recordings of waves on my phone. She would close her eyes and smile. For a moment, she would come back. And I learned that endings are not loud. They do not announce themselves. They arrive quietly, disguised as choices, disguised as love. I did what I believed was right. I carry the weight of it every day. Because the truth she never knew, the truth that lives with me, is that I did not just sell her beach house. I sold the last place where she remembered who she was.
If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Every single subscription motivates me to bring you even more exciting and dramatic HOA stories. And don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss a new upload. I'll see you in the next story, where justice gets even more satisfying.